My name is Emily Carter, and I used to believe that love could fix everything. I believed that if you loved someone enough, they would change, soften, and grow with you. But life taught me that love alone is not enough, especially when jealousy becomes the shadow that follows every step you take. I met Daniel on a rainy afternoon in the city. I was sitting at a small coffee shop near the bus stop, drinking hot chocolate and reading a book. He came in, shaking off the rain, with messy hair and a tired smile. When our eyes met, he smiled kindly and asked if he could share my table because the shop was full. I said yes. We talked for hours that day. I didn't even realize how time passed. He was funny, charming, and he made me feel like I was the only person in the room. We started meeting more often after that, and soon I fell deeply in love with him. He wasn't perfect, but who is? He had a protective side that made me feel safe at first. When other men looked at me, he would hold my hand tighter. When someone texted me late at night, he would ask who it was just out of curiosity, or so I thought. At the beginning, I thought it was just love showing in a different way. He just cares too much, I told myself. But I didn't see the red flags. Not until it was too late. After we got married, things slowly started to change. Daniel became quieter, more serious. One day, I went to meet my old friend, Rachel, for lunch. We hadn't seen each other since college. She was excited to see me, and we laughed like old times. But when I came home, Daniel was sitting on the couch, his face cold. "Who's Rachel?" he asked. "My friend from college," I said, putting my bag down. "Why didn't you tell me before?" His voice was sharp, not curious, accusing. I didn't think I needed to. "It's just lunch," I replied softly. He looked at me for a long time and then said, "Next time, tell me where you go and who you're with. I just want to know you're safe." I nodded, trying to calm the situation. But something inside me felt uneasy. It didn't sound like care anymore. It sounded like control. Weeks passed, and Daniel started calling me many times a day. If I didn't answer, he would get angry. "Why didn't you pick up?" "Who were you with?" he would say. If I told him I was working late, he would come to my office, pretending to surprise me, but really, he was checking if I was telling the truth. At first, I tried to understand him. I told myself maybe he was just insecure because he loved me too much. But soon, I realized that love doesn't mean checking someone's phone. Love doesn't mean making them afraid to talk to their friends. And love doesn't mean doubting every smile. My world became smaller. I stopped going out with friends because it always caused an argument. I stopped posting on social media because he would question every comment. I even stopped wearing bright clothes because he said, "You don't need to dress like that. You're married now." The woman I used to be, free, cheerful, full of life, slowly disappeared. I became quiet, like a bird locked inside a cage made of fear and sadness. One weekend, I went to visit my mother alone. Daniel had a business trip, so I finally had time to breathe. When Mom saw me, she hugged me tightly. "Emily, you've lost weight," she said, looking at me with worried eyes. "Is everything okay, sweetheart?" I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to cry in her arms like I used to when I was a child. But I couldn't. I didn't want her to worry. So I smiled and said, "I'm fine, Mom. Just busy." But mothers always know. She touched my hand gently and said, "Emily, Marriage should not feel like a prison. If it hurts more than it heals, something is wrong. Her words stayed in my heart like a quiet echo. That night, I couldn't sleep. I thought about the girl I used to be, the one who laughed loudly, who had dreams, who loved dancing in the rain. I missed her, and I realized Daniel's jealousy had stolen her away from me. A few weeks later, my company organized a small dinner party. Everyone was invited to bring their partner. I was nervous but also happy because I thought Daniel would finally see that my colleagues were just friends, nothing more. At the dinner, everything went fine at first. Daniel smiled and shook hands, trying to look friendly. But when one of my coworkers, Mark, laughed at one of my jokes, Daniel's face changed immediately. When we got home, he exploded. "Do you like him?" he shouted.
What? No.
"He's just a coworker," I said, shocked. "I saw the way you smiled at him. Don't lie to me, Emily." His voice was so loud that I felt my heart beating fast. For the first time, I was scared of him. Really scared. "I can't live like this," I whispered. He looked at me with wide eyes, suddenly realizing what he had done. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice breaking. I can't stand the thought of losing you." But I already felt lost. Not to someone else, but lost within this marriage. Days turned into weeks, and we barely talked. I tried to make peace, to believe that he could change, but the jealousy always came back, stronger each time. If I looked at my phone, he would ask who I was texting. If I smiled at a waiter, he would frown. If I said I was tired, he would say, "Are you tired of me already?" I lived in silence because speaking only made things worse. Every word I said could turn into another argument. One night, I sat alone on the balcony, looking at the stars. I thought about our wedding day, the smiles, the promises, the love we once had. I wondered where it all went wrong. And then I understood. Jealousy is not love. Jealousy is fear dressed as love. It destroys trust, and once trust is gone, love can't survive for long. The next morning, I packed a small bag and went to my mother's house. I left a note for Daniel. It said, "I love you, but I can't live in fear anymore. I need to find myself again before I disappear completely. Please understand." I cried while writing it. It wasn't easy. Part of me still loved him deeply, but another part of me knew that staying would destroy who I was. When Daniel came home and saw the note, he called me again and again. I didn't answer. He sent messages, some angry, some begging me to come back. But I stayed strong. After a few days, he came to see me. His eyes were red, and he looked broken. "Emily, I can change."
"Please," he said.
I looked at him and saw the man I once loved, the one who made me laugh in a coffee shop years ago. I wished so badly that love could fix him. But I knew it couldn't. Not until he fixed himself. "I believe you can," I said softly. "But I can't be the reason you change. You have to do it for yourself." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I just didn't want to lose you. You lost me the moment you stopped trusting me," I whispered. "It's been a year since I left. I now live in a small apartment near the city park. I work, I read, I go out with friends again. Sometimes I still think of Daniel. I hope he's learning to heal from whatever made him so afraid of losing love." I've learned something important. Love is not about owning someone. It's about trusting them enough to let them be free. I'm not angry anymore. Just sad that something beautiful turned into something painful. But I also feel stronger now, more like myself again. When I look in the mirror, I see a woman who survived, who learned that self-respect is not selfish, it's necessary. I see someone who still believes in love, but not the kind that hurts. The kind that gives space, freedom, and peace. Maybe one day I'll find love again. But this time, I'll know the difference between love and jealousy. And that's the story of how I learned that sometimes walking away is not giving up, it's choosing to live again. Love without trust is like a flower without water. It may look alive for a while, but it will slowly fade. True love should make you feel safe, not scared, free, not controlled.